Problem number 4 on the final exam is asking you that if A sub n diverges and B sub n converges, where A sub n, B sub n, and C sub n are all positive sequences, which one of these statements has to be true? And it gives you 5 different statements. So let's go through each one of them and let's see if we can figure it out by process of elimination. So if I look at statement A says that if C sub n is less than A sub n, then C sub n diverges. So is that statement true? Well, what I should point out is that this is based off of the limit comparison test. So remember, the limit comparison test says that if I have 2 series where, in this case, I wrote it as A sub n and B sub n, but keep in mind that these series are not the same series here. So this A sub n and B sub n are just arbitrary series that they picked. This is just how it's written in your notes, and I want to remain consistent with how you guys learned it. So A sub n and B sub n, if A sub n is divergent, then B sub n is divergent. And if B sub n is convergent, then A sub n is convergent. However, if A sub n is convergent, B sub n doesn't necessarily converge as well. So we have to remember the rules of direct comparison to actually figure out whether or not all these statements actually fit. So if I'm looking at C sub n, and C sub n is less than A sub n, does C sub n diverge? Well, C sub n is less than A sub n, and A sub n is divergent, but remember, for the inequality to work, C sub n would have to be divergent for A sub n to be divergent. Remember, the smaller one always has to be divergent for the larger one to be divergent. So statement A is actually incorrect. So I'm going to go ahead and cross that off. Now, statement B is saying that C sub n is less than A sub n. And if that's true, then C sub n converges. So, is that true or not? C sub n is less than A sub n. So if I look here, A sub n is a divergent series. And using direct comparison test, if I compare anything to a divergent series, it would never converge for any reason. So therefore, this statement is just incorrect because I'm trying to get convergence out of a divergent series. So this statement doesn't make any sense to begin with. So I'm just going to go ahead and cross off B2. Now, letter C says that if C sub n is greater than B sub n, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to flip it around right now. So this is the same statement, just written in the reverse order. B sub n is less than C sub n. It says that C sub n should diverge. So is that statement true or not? Well, again, looking back at direct comparison test, the smaller one has to diverge for the larger one to diverge. I know that B sub n is convergent. So again, this is like a nonsense statement. This doesn't make any sense. There's no reason that if this was to converge, that for some reason this would diverge. At least nothing that we can prove with direct comparison test. So I'm going to go ahead and cross off C as well. We're down to the final 2. I'm going to go ahead and test statement D. That says that if A sub n is less than C sub n, that C sub n has to converge. Okay? Is that true? So A sub n is divergent. Does that prove that C sub n is convergent? Well, again, using direct comparison test, no. Direct comparison test, they either both have to converge or diverge anyway. So if I'm trying to take a divergent series and prove that something else is convergent, it's not going to work with direct comparison test. So this statement doesn't work either. So therefore, by process of elimination, we've narrowed it down to E. But let's see if we can actually prove that E is correct. So if I have C sub n is less than B sub n, then C sub n converges. So does that hold for direct comparison? Well, in this case, C sub n is less than B sub n, and B sub n is a convergent series. Remember, with direct comparison test, if the larger one is convergent, the smaller one is also convergent. Because this is convergent, and because this inequality holds true, C sub n is in fact convergent. So letter E for number 4 is the correct answer.
The Teaching Center, UF's Learning Resource Center.